welcome to Design Summit 2020 and to this leadership session with Dan Schuster, Vice President at Alltech. I'm Bob Vavra, Senior Content Director for Machine Design and Hydraulics and Pneumatics, and I'll be your host for this discussion. Here's a few tips about our Design Summit event platform. The first tab on the right of your screen is to chat with our speaker during the presentation. We'll get to as many of those comments and questions as we can during the presentation. The second tab shows you everyone who's watching this session and allows you to message with those attending during the live presentation. It's not available in the on-demand version of this presentation. And the third tab is for you to rate our speaker and topic area today. We ask you to fill out this portion at the end of the presentation before returning to the lobby. This will help us improve future presentations. And be sure to head back to the lobby at the end of this presentation to see what's coming next in today's schedule, as well as the other sessions we're going to be offering during Design Summit 2020. You can also review the next session with the tab on the left side of your screen, and you can also click on the left-hand tab to reference the product demo videos. We're pleased to have Dan Schuster from Alltech with us. Dan started in the electrical industry in 1976 in a company called ITE Imperial Corporation in Pennsylvania. ITE stands for Inverse Time Element, which is the basis of a circuit breaker. The first circuit breaker incorporating ITE dates back with this company to 1890, and Dan has worked at that company for 25 years in various marketing and sales positions before joining Alltech. And Dan, we're thrilled to have you today. And there's a lot of, it's been, as I think we've all talked about during this event, it's been a very interesting year and a very interesting month. As it pertains to the things that you're seeing at Alltech, let's start to talk about the supply chain in general and some of the things that you've seen that's happened over the last few months.
Well, Bob, it's a pleasure to be here, first of all. And answering that question is, really, it's really been somewhat of a crazy time. Let's face it. You know, when COVID hit, up until that period, everyone was doing well. The economy was strong. And then all of a sudden, the unexpected happens. And so it really has affected the supply chain. When it first hit, we actually had three manufacturers from overseas here at Alltech that week. And each one was handled differently. One was from Italy. They went back and they were on lockdown. One was from Germany. About 2 weeks later, they got on lockdown. And then one went to India. About another 2 or 3 weeks after that, they went on lockdown for a month. So it had like a ripple effect throughout the country. Everyone was surprised, wasn't sure when they would open, and there was a lot of uncertainty. So at that moment, the supply chain really had a lot of material issues, shipping issues, as well as employee issues, who could work, who couldn't work. And so the bottom line was that there was extended lead times. And lead times that they gave you really were questionable as well, because at the end of the day, they thought they could get it out in a week, but then all of a sudden they couldn't get it shipped. And it just sat in their warehouse, and then their warehouse shut down. So it was really a trying time for everyone. And so it really did affect the supply chain. But I think in general, as things improved, everyone came back pretty strongly. And as a result, they had a new sense of urgency to get products out and to try to keep the ball going, so to speak, while things were open.
And I think that one of the things that we've talked about a lot as throughout the Design Summit has been the adaptability of the manufacturing sector, not just from a supply chain standpoint, but from a human standpoint. Can you talk about internally at Alltech some of the things that you had to deal with on both of those fronts that allowed you to rebound from where we were at the first part of this?
Well, yeah, when it first came out here in New Jersey, there was a lot of uncertainty. Were we an essential business or not? And there were some government guidelines on what's essential, what isn't, but nobody really said you were or weren't an essential business. So we put together what we looked at, what markets we went to, and as a result, we were essential, and we moved forward with that. But trying to make sure everyone was healthy, we only left the warehouse open, and we had the office employees work from home. In order to do that, it was pretty tricky. All of a sudden, you have to go get laptops. You got to make sure everybody's software works from home. How do you make sure orders come into the system properly? Where do you now file, the POs in the cloud, things of that sort, all changes to the ISO system and things of that on the front end. On the back end, you had to worry about your employees in the warehouse. Make sure that it's clean and safe and everybody stays healthy, and also make sure they're happy as can be, because at the end of the day they're working and everybody else is at home, right? And so there has to be somewhat some hazard pay, I'll call it, right? For their extra effort to come in and wear the mask all day and make sure that things are clean and that kind of thing. When our shipments came in from our manufacturers, we had to put in policies to make sure that, okay, could there be COVID on this? What's the best way to handle this? So then what we did is anything that came in, we wouldn't touch for a whole day, because from the CDC is this would die within, if there were COVID on it, it would die within a day. So we just left it there, right? The second day, people could then start to open it up and see what was there. In the meantime, you have customers screaming for the material, but you couldn't do it because you really had to make sure the safety of the employees was first, right? That's the bottom line here. And so from the business standpoint, Alltech really changed. We've been in business since 1984. We've never seen anything like this where the entire office had to work from home, right? And then you have the people in the warehouse work to get product out. They get their purchase orders. You're now issuing sales orders from someone's house, which we've never in our life done before. And so it worked out pretty well. Fortunately for us, we also implemented a policy where our sales and marketing department and our creative director, Mike Cooper, start to send out daily notices to the field that we're still open, that here's a new product in case you need it, but just to let you know, Mr. Customer, we are open, and please give us a chance to help you here in this time of need.
And there was a lot of adopting and adapting of new technologies, as you mentioned, as well as new policies and procedures. As you look at where we're at today, what of the things that you have implemented do you see Alltech going to continue with once we're past this crisis, at whatever point that might be? Some people say it's 3 to 6 months. Some people say we're looking at next summer. The most pessimistic thing I've seen is 22. But are there things that you've learned and adopted during this crisis that may live past this crisis?
Yeah, I think so. I think, for example, one of the things we learned now is we can go paperless. We used to have systems where you'd get a purchase order, you'd print it out, you would do certain things with it, then you would file it. All that's done in the cloud now. You'd invoice by paper. Now we do it on the internet. Those kinds of things we've learned that we're going to be doing that clearly in the future. Secondly, I think we're going to, as a business, and I think all businesses are going to have to start doing more virtual marketing, because at the end of the day, right now, you really can't see many customers, okay? I think even whether it's 6 months or a year, it's still going to be limited where they're just going to allow you to come in unless they really, really need you to come in, because they've learned that they can do it through a Zoom meeting or whatever, instead of you coming in and giving them the literature and talking to them. So you really got to learn how to do more virtual marketing and also try to operate your systems in a way that it is paperless. And so I think clearly that's going to be the case. And, some of our customers learn through this that they don't need their sales offices anymore. And so they closed down sales offices. And then what they did was they had people work from home, just like Alltech, right? And so I'm not sure in the future what that bodes for Alltech. Maybe we'll work more from home. I don't quite know. Right now, it depends on, do we need the office space for other things? If it could become warehouse and make us more effective, that might be an option. But in the future, it is an option.
And certainly in terms of warehouse operations, automation is going to become a much greater part of what you do in all aspects. I know it's an automated warehouse to a large extent now, but the ability to use more and more of that technology to augment what humans are doing in the warehouse is going to be important.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, because one of the things right now is it's not easy still to get employees. We are looking for someone in the warehouse right now. And, when Amazon starts bidding up the pricing to get someone, it gets difficult to get them at the wage salary we need. We just can't start paying someone, $20 an hour because Amazon's doing it. And then everyone in the warehouse has to make at least that and more because they've been here through this. So it's really been, it is definitely more automation. For example, we implemented last year our first package wrapper. It's an automated one. We're already looking at our second one now, right? Because it really is effective and easier that way to get product out to our customers.
We hear a lot about the supply chain in general and issues like reshoring or nearshoring, that type of thing. You have to deal with tens of thousands of different people. Can you talk about where you see the product coming from and going to in your experience, and some of the ideas around the reshoring, nearshoring initiatives?
Well, I guess I'll say, first of all, it depends on who becomes president, right? And I think I'll have some bearing on this. But my old company, ITE, used to make all kinds of electrical products, and we were one of the big three in the United States. And then it got sold to ABB, Siemens, and to Square D, Schneider, and it all got moved overseas. All the product lines basically got moved overseas. And so they could all be made here, but the real question is, does it make sense, right? From a cost standpoint, because now you have to move the machinery back to make the parts. Then you have to train the employees. And so I don't see that really happening a whole lot in the electrical industry right now. I think in general, the businesses like Eaton Color Hammer, who are making some things here, will keep it here, but I don't really see a whole lot moving back right now. And again, as I said, it depends on who becomes president and what the incentives are to do that.
What does the future look like for Alltech? That you've as you've pointed out, you've come through the other side of this pretty successfully, and you've been able to weather this initial storm. What are some of the things that you see in the future, regardless of any of the political or economic issues? What are the things that you saw in late 2019, early 2020 that you think on the other side of this are going to continue to accelerate?
Well, I think what I heard from our customers, and I'm seeing it and hearing more, is that Amazon is growing more and more. And that leads to where, all of us need to be efficient so that we can compete against Amazon. And so that clearly is one of the things going forward, that there will be more online sales. Currently, we do not do that at all, but we will have to, I think, down the road, look at that, because long term, with Amazon selling everything online, and now they're in the industrial business as well doing that, it really says that we need long term to be aware of that and potentially be doing that. I think, again, as I said, we really need to be as efficient as possible, paperless, and as you said, as efficient in the warehouse as possible, so that sure, we'd love to have work for everybody, but long term, it really, we have to be cost competitive and be able to get products to our customers as fast as possible.
You've seen in your career all kinds of different challenges, and this one is really no different. It's just, again, adapting to your customers and adapting to the economics of the day. But it's got to be kind of an exciting time, even with all the challenges we've had in 2020. It's got to be kind of an exciting time as we're seeing manufacturing continue to grow and evolve on a number of fronts.
Yeah, no, it is very exciting. And, if the U.S. can start to manufacture more, I think it's fantastic for the country. And, my own company, we used to manufacture everything here in Pennsylvania. And, there's good paying jobs, good paying union jobs, a lot of supervisors and managerial jobs that were good paying jobs. And they all went poof, and now in place of those manufacturing plants, there's condos and things of that sort. And so to know that manufacturing is starting to make inroads, and it was doing much better prior to this COVID. Hopefully we can get through this. As you said, maybe hopefully 6 months once we get the vaccine. And then from there, maybe we can, again, start to look to manufacture more, because that's good paying jobs for everybody. And that's really where I think the middle class people in the country can really do well.
Yeah. And those jobs tend to multiply on one another, because it becomes not just one job for one person, but the manufacturing jobs have always been proven to produce multiple jobs up and down the tier 1 and tier 2s of various industries.
Oh, absolutely. Because, let's just look at a circuit breaker. If to make that, you're going to buy copper. To get that, then you're going to plate it. You're not going to do that in your own plant. You're going to go to the specialized platers. You're going to go to the special screw manufacturers to get the screws. And so if you're now doing all that here, it definitely multiplies through the entire economy and helps all of us to have a better life.
Absolutely. Well, that's a great place to wrap up our discussion on this. I want to thank Dan Schuster from Alltech for a great discussion. I want to thank all of our viewers. And we want to remind you that you can interact with Dan and with each other by using the chat tabs on the right of your screen. And this session will also be available for on-demand viewing, so feel free to come back and rewatch at any point over the next 90 days. So on behalf of Dan Schuster from Alltech, I'm Bob Vavra. Have a great rest of your time here at Design Summit 2020, and stay safe out there.
Thank you.